When discussing Korean culinary culture, there is one thing you absolutely cannot miss. Hanjeongsik, the traditional full-course meal. This magnificent feast, featuring dozens of meticulously prepared side dishes spread across the table, is not just food. It's an art form that embodies Korean philosophy and aesthetics. Emily, a food blogger from the UK, stood in front of a traditional Hanok Hanjeongsik restaurant in Seoul, utterly captivated. The wooden pillars, the tiled roof, and the softly glowing hanji lanterns created an ambiance that made her feel like she had traveled back in time to the Joseon dynasty. What kind of culinary paradise awaits us behind this gate? Let's start this mysterious journey together. The Hanjeongsik experience begins even before you taste the first bite. Emily was instructed to remove her shoes and was guided into an Ondol room. The moment she sat down, she was astonished by the incredible warmth provided by Korea's traditional underfloor heating system. Sitting in the intimate private room, decorated with folding screens and calligraphy, in front of a low table, she felt like Joseon dynasty royalty. While this floor seating culture, which is uncommon in the West, felt slightly uncomfortable at first, she quickly realized it was tied to the respectful and thoughtful Korean approach to dining. And then, the food finally began to arrive. The moment a server, beautifully dressed in a hanbok, walked in carrying an enormous tray, Emily's jaw dropped. Small dishes were placed on the table relentlessly, and she involuntarily started counting them. 10, 20, 30, the number just kept climbing. For someone accustomed to Western dining where a main course and one side dish is standard, this spectacle was utterly shocking. "Is all of this ours?" Emily asked, completely incredulous. The sight spread out on the table was truly spectacular. Red kimchi, green vegetables, white rice, golden pancakes, brown stews, black seaweed. The traditional Korean colors, known as Obangsaek, were in perfect harmony, creating a true work of art. Emily quickly pulled out her smartphone to capture the scene. She couldn't stop exclaiming, saying, "It looks like an edible art gallery." Hanjeongsik table settings aren't just about filling your stomach. It's a feast for the five senses, tasting first with your eyes, building anticipation with the aroma, and finally savoring it with your tongue. The heart of Hanjeongsik is the Banchan. Emily carefully examined each small plate. There were several types of kimchi alone: napa cabbage kimchi, cubed radish kimchi, and stuffed cucumber kimchi. Various seasoned vegetables, like seasoned spinach, bean sprouts, bellflower root, and fernbrake, each boasted their own unique color and flavor. Picking up a crunchy piece of kukdugi, she remarked, "It's incredible that such a wide variety of fermented foods are served on one table." Compared to the West, where pickles or sauerkraut are often the extent of fermentation, Korea's fermentation culture truly shows a depth on another level. Faced with dozens of dishes, Emily felt overwhelmed, unsure where to begin. Luckily, a kind server explained each dish in detail. This jorum was made with soy sauce from a 300-year-old tradition, and these vegetables were harvested from the mountain this very morning. Emily listened intently, metal chopsticks in hand. This kind of storytelling, which is rare in Western restaurants, was another charm of Hanjeongsik. The history, the care, and the stories about the seasonal ingredients elevated a simple meal into a profound cultural experience. In a Hanjeongsik meal, rice isn't just a simple carb, it's the centerpiece, the main character that brings all the side dishes together. Emily lifted the brass lid and gazed at the perfectly glossy white rice. Then, as the meal neared its end, she experienced Seungyeong for the first time, the savory rice tea made by pouring water into the hot stone pot. Watching the scorched rice transform into this comforting beverage, she remarked, "Koreans truly utilize every bit of their food." This Sungnyung culture was a small but perfect example of Korean resourcefulness and wisdom. The table was already full just with the side dishes, but now it was time for the main courses to make their grand entrance. First came the perfectly browned grilled fish, followed by a bubbling hot janggol stew, and finally, the glistening galbi-jjim was placed on the table. Emily closed her eyes and deeply inhaled the sweet and savory aroma of the galbi-jjim. "Just the smell makes me happy," she exclaimed, looking ecstatic. The Korean method of cooking meat, so different from Western steak preparation, was a fresh and welcome shock to her senses. To truly enjoy the Hanjeongsik, Emily had one small hurdle to overcome: using the metal chopsticks. Accustomed to Western forks and knives, picking up slippery japchae with thin metal chopsticks was not easy. A Korean friend dining with her demonstrated the proper grip and offered help. After several attempts, Emily finally managed to successfully lift a mouthful of japchae. She beamed with triumph and humorously remarked, "These chopsticks are actually a great workout." One of the most enjoyable parts of Hanjeongsik is the Sam culture, the wrapping tradition. Taking fresh lettuce and perilla leaves, adding a spoonful of rice, a slice of meat, garlic, and samjang, and popping the whole thing into your mouth was a completely new experience for Emily. She was fascinated, noting that we barely have a culture in the West where you directly assemble your food like this. At first, her wraps were too big to fit in one bite, but she quickly figured out the perfect size and fell in love with Sam. The harmonization of all those ingredients in her mouth was truly fantastic. Midway through the Hanjeongsik course, the jang completely stole Emily's heart. Crispy seafood scallion pancakes and savory mung bean pancakes glistened golden on the table. When she tore off a piece of the pancake, the stretchy egg and seafood reminded her of a Korean-style pizza. "They say it's best with makgeolli on a rainy day. I definitely have to come back," Emily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling at her Korean friend's explanation. This uniquely Korean food pairing culture, pancakes and makgeolli, was incredibly intriguing to her. The secret to Hanjeongsik's profound flavor lies in the asterisk jang. Emily carefully examined the doenjang, gochujang, and asterisk ganjang asterisk served in small ceramic bowls. Brown, red, black. Each paste held its own distinct color and aroma. When she tasted a bit of the doenjang, she initially wrinkled her nose at the intense, unfamiliar flavor, but she was soon captivated by its deep, complex richness. "This is the true umami of Korean food," she realized, thrilled to have finally discovered the source of that distinctive savory depth. In Hanjeongsik, the soups are the warm, comforting core of the meal. A steaming hot pot of doenjang jjigae, served in a traditional tukbaegi stone bowl, is placed in front of Emily. The bubbling sound and the savory, earthy aroma fill the air. She carefully blows on the hot broth and takes a cautious spoonful. "This tastes like a grandmother's hug," Emily says, her face reflecting pure emotion. Unlike Western soups, the comforting nature of Korean broth dishes, something you could eat every single day, truly captivated her heart. Hanjeongsik is not simply about having all the food served at once. Like a French full-course meal, the dishes arrive sequentially, following a specific order. Emily was already feeling full, so she couldn't hide her astonishment when yet another round of dishes appeared. "There's still more coming? How many courses are left?" she burst out, laughing. She gradually began to understand that this course-by-course structure wasn't just about showing off the quantity, but a careful consideration of flavor balance and the rhythm of the dining experience. The true value of Hanjeongsik lies in the respect shown for seasonal ingredients. Spring brings wild greens like naengi and SSUK. Summer offers fresh seafood. Autumn provides mushrooms and newly harvested rice. And winter features root vegetables. Emily learned from the chef that every ingredient on her table was only available during that specific season. Koreans truly eat according to nature's timetable, she remarked, deeply impressed. Unlike Western restaurants that often serve the same menu year-round, Hanjeongsik felt like a living cuisine, offering a new experience with every visit. There's something that truly shines alongside Hanjeongsik, traditional Korean liquor. Emily tried the milky makgeolli, served in a brass bowl for the first time. It's a completely new flavor. Not wine, not beer, she exclaimed. She was amazed by the slightly sweet yet tangy taste of the rice wine. Sampling soju served in small ceramic cups, she realized how much Koreans value the harmony between food and drink. This time spent leisurely enjoying the meal and sharing drinks was the true essence of the Hanjeongsik experience. One of the things that impressed Emily most about Hanjeongsik was the culture of sharing. In the West, everyone typically eats the food on their own plate, but in Korea, dishes placed in the center are meant to be shared communally. While initially unfamiliar with taking food from the same central dish as others, Emily soon understood this was how Koreans share their affection and connection. When you share food, it feels like you're sharing your heart too, she remarked, feeling a deep sense of connection as she reached for dishes with her Korean friends. The grand finale of the abundant Hanjeongsik meal is the dessert. Emily was presented with cold, sweet sikye sujongwa with its subtle cinnamon aroma, and beautifully arranged seasonal fruits. Taking a sip of the sikye, she described it as, "This is like a dessert and a digestive aid all in one." She was once again impressed by the wisdom of Korean desserts, which cleanly refreshed the palate without any lingering heaviness. Unlike the sweet, heavy cakes often found in the West, traditional Korean desserts are designed with the consideration of keeping the body feeling light. The beauty of Hanjeongsik isn't just in the food itself. Emily carefully examined every single piece of tableware on the table. The jade-colored celadon, the heavy brass bowls, the elegant lacquerware sets. Every dish was a work of art, making the food shine even brighter. In Korea, the dishware is truly part of the cuisine, she marveled. Unlike the West, where white plates dominate, Korea's dining culture amplified the visual pleasure through a huge variety of colors and textures. The Hanjeongsik table setting follows strict rules. Rice goes on the left, soup on the right, even the exact placement of the spoon and chopsticks. Everything has a reason. Emily was astonished as her Korean friend explained the meaning behind these arrangements. There's philosophy embedded even in how the food is placed. This traditional setting reflects Confucian ideals and etiquette, showing that Koreans view a meal not just as nutrition, but as a significant cultural act. The origins of Hanjeongsik trace back to the royal court cuisine of the Joseon dynasty. Emily got lost in history, gazing at a painting of a Joseon royal banquet hanging in the restaurant. The food I'm eating now is the same food the ancient kings and queens ate. She felt like a character in a historical drama. Evolving from court cuisine, Hanjeongsik eventually became accessible to the public, and today, it stands as the quintessential representation of Korean gastronomy. Modern Hanjeongsik is constantly evolving while still honoring tradition. Emily also visited a contemporary Hanjeongsik restaurant in Seoul. Despite the minimalist interior, Dozens of neat side dishes were still served. Traditional cooking methods combined with modern plating delighted both the eyes and the palate. She remarked, "Koreans don't trap tradition in a museum. They let it breathe in everyday life." The dynamic coexistence of the old and the new in Korean culture was perfectly reflected in the Hanjeongsik experience. As the long meal drew to a close, Emily held a warm cup of traditional tea, sinking into deep satisfaction. The table was covered with almost empty plates, remnants of a wonderful time. To experience so much in just one meal, she quietly murmured. Hanjeongsik wasn't just about filling her stomach. It was a total cultural immersion, allowing her to feel the history, philosophy, aesthetics, and jeong of Korea. Leaving the Hanjeongsik restaurant, Emily bowed deeply to the staff. A profound emotion, something far beyond simple, delicious, had settled in her heart. On the way back to her hotel, she immediately started documenting the experience on her food blog. Hanjeongsik is not just food. It's an entire universe. Every small dish holds a season, history, and the heartfelt dedication of the person who made it. Emily decided she absolutely had to experience Hanjeongsik again before leaving Korea. She couldn't hide the excitement for what new tastes and stories awaited her next time.